As has already been discovered, now on the third episode of the German Empire series, the German Empire state has been made and it has been secured, and we know who their first emperor was. However, it was not all about the emperor that secured this state, and indeed many famously known Germanmen, and to anyone studying GCSE or A-level history will be able to tell you, myself included, when I did do it, Otto von Bismarck. This man was predominantly responsible for creating and unifying, working behind the scenes to create a unified, strong and imperial industrialised German Empire state. Otto von Bismarck. Born in 1815 in Prussia just outside Berlin, he quickly rose through the ranks through his educational, linguistic and militaristic skills, be a key coordinator behind German Unification. And he had a very unique approach to this. Although he definitely was responsible for the three wars of German Unification, the 1864 Schleswig-Holstein War, the 1866 Austro-Prussian War, and all of these previously mentioned, of course, 1870 Franco-Prussian War. First of all, they were all successful, I've already mentioned, and second of all, he was highly pragmatic in doing them. You see, Otto von Bismarck was not just any German statesman or any Victorian-like man at the time. He believed in diplomacy, being a good diplomat throughout German unification. He wanted to have good ties with the rest of the European continent, or at best make it so Germany should be a credible and state to be respected once it had been unified. And he definitely was, mostly in part, encouraged the southern German states to unify with it following the Franco-Prussian War. And under Wilhelm I, he was highly popular, as both Wilhelm I and later Frederick III, despite only ruling less than 90 days, had a very coherent match of politics, militaristic and economic goals like Otto von Bismarck. The idea of realpolitik, effectively, as I guess you can probably all make from the translation if you don't speak German, realpolitik, realistic political, means achieving realistic political goals, funnily enough. So rather at the time revolving around jingoism, expansionism, imperialism, like many other European states used, of course, Otto von Bismarck believed in instead pragmatism, thoroughness and a bit more self-sufficiency to achieve German aims, and focusing more on German nationalism. And in my next video, we'll not talk about it here, so make sure you like and subscribe so you do not miss out on it. We'll mention how we've done this more specifically. I think it deserves its entirely separate episode on the cultural camp, cultural struggle, which I'll mention, like I'll say, next video, so like and subscribe for that next video, which will be coming out next on the German Empire series. But you get the point. And in 1888, just before Wilhelm I died, he made sure there was a welfare state established to deter the rise of people challenging autocracy and people who supported the socialists. Although, ironically, in doing so, he did, well, of course, both deter the socialists, but also invent several socialist policies to deter the socialists from trying to gain more socialist influence. That makes sense, doesn't it? Anyway, I'm going around the houses. He implemented pension benefits for the elderly, and along the welfare state, within the welfare state system, more accessible healthcare. So healthcare and pensions for the elderly. And also more up-to-date and modern healthcare and equipment, so people could, of course, when they did get injuries or gunshot wounds in the military, it was a very militaristic state after all, they could be better cared for them. And German life expectancy and standard of living, along with some economic reform and industrialisation, greatly increased to, by the late 19th century, it was one of the highest in Europe, only behind the British and the French as other European powers. However, of course, in 1888, Wilhelm I and then Frederick III quickly afterwards died, and the new man came to the scene, Wilhelm II. And, well, Wilhelm II was a realpolitik. Another episode I'll be making on him in the future, so like and subscribe for that one. Totally challenging realpolitik, of course. Again, realpolitik does not emphasise imperialism. Otto von Bismarck ended the day realised that, hey, it's 1871, we'll call the Berlin Conference in 1884 just to make sure we have some stand in Africa and global imperialism, but ultimately our state is very new. It only just been created like the Italian and the Japanese one. Let's not go too dogmatic or fanatic. Let's just secure power first, but Wilhelm II was like, 999. We're not going to do that at all. We want to create a strong German state and I want an empire. But of course, Wilhelm II Wilhelm II wanted that. Otto von Bismarck highly disagreed. He wanted the German state to be strengthened first, and he simply thought that by having a global empire, they would create more enemies, which indeed they would, less than half a century later in, of course, the First World War. However, he did definitely please some expansionists in mind through the 1879 dual alliance with Austro-Hungary. Italy, of course, would later join, and then thus you've got the Triple Alliance and thus the future First World War alliance systems. Because of course this both pleased the Austrian and the German influences and interests by the mid to late 19th century, as both feared Russian aggression, considering Russia and France had just had their own alliance that Britain was later to join, Triple Entente. That of course the network of alliances that was leading up to World War I through the 1879 dual alliance of Austro-Hungary Empire had of course now been created. He was dismissed by Wilhelm II in 1890 due to the fact he no longer got along with him, was ageing, and would not thoroughly back or provide enough economic, political or military support for his growing expansionist foreign policy. And in 1898, after a relatively short retirement, he died. And he cannot be understated for how much he helped unify the German Empire. His pragmatism, thorough, determined and opportune approach to consolidating his state, from a relatively humble background, is definitely quite revered. And that is Otto von Bismarck, a pragmatic man, of course still contributing to German unification and ultimately leading up to World War I, since he was a bit of a warmonger at times, pragmatic warmonger, definitely not to the extent of Wilhelm II, and ultimately proven that, quite frankly, through his own realpolitik, Germany was now a unified and controlled singular state that did not have, of course, the ethnic visual troubles that was plaguing the Russian Empire, Austro-Hungarian Empire, and thus it was time to expand from realpolitik and go to a Weltpolitik. That, of course, I'll be explaining in future videos. So if anything, Otto von Bismarck had kind of been so good, he'd outlasted his tenure. And indeed, one thing that can be said in the 19th century is not many people could say they did live to the age of 83 and be well fed, well drunk, and a lot of alcohol to eat and drink. That's the aristocracy for you. There's an extra segment now on the end for you. I'm making the rest of the video was scripted, hence why I kept looking at the computer. That bit at the end was just my own additional knowledge for you. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.